This is the guy that they're saying that I chased around. They're saying that I made up forged documents at the police station. That's a fucking lie. That's a bullshit lie. I went to charge him because he was abusing me, just like you saw in that video.
Hello, 'tis I, Fat Cow. Foodie, you have just used a video of another woman being mistreated and heavily suggested just now that it was you. Do you realise you've done that? Because anybody who didn't know the history, by that statement you just said, would think that video involved you. That is some shit manipulation at a level that is, quite frankly, dumbfounding. How dare you? What you have presented is evidence that your ex is a person inclined to mistreat women. It is not evidence that he mistreated you, however. Now, I'm not saying things didn't happen between the two of you. What I am saying is you've muddied the water so much that regardless of what happened between the two of you, it carries no weight legally anymore. There is no concrete evidence at all, because you just mucked it all around and changed your story so many times, depending on whether he was being, you had a chance at being in a relationship with him or not. But for you, to even upload that video of somebody else being mistreated without their permission, one assumes, is so monumentally wrong. And two, to somehow imply, which you're going to deny, strongly implies that that was you in the video. The arrogance, the hubris, the narcissism. You are vile. You're no longer a low cow. You know you're no longer a low cow. You are a vile cow. You're revolting. You are, primordial scum. You are the bottom rung on the evolutionary ladder when it comes to character and morals. You are the poster child for what not to be when it comes to being a Muslim.
Because he was abusing me, just like you saw in that video. So they believe the person he's with now, as you've seen, is abused. They believe that the elderly woman could be abused, but not me, because they hate me. So anything to fit their narrative, right?
Here's the thing, Foodie. Nobody is saying you weren't mistreated. People are saying you lied about some of the mistreatment when it suited you. When you were angry with him, when he wasn't cooperating and wanting to spend time with you, you waved the "I've been mistreated" flag. And then when he was cooperating with you and was willing to spend time with you, you withdrew the "I'm being mistreated" flag. Nobody is victim shaming. Nobody is claiming you were not mistreated. People are pointing out the fact that your story kept changing again and again and again according to whether or not you were seeing him or not. And the bottom line is the uploading of this video, the vomit that is coming out of your mouth, is all down to one thing that is annoying the ever-loving poop out of you. And that is people saying that you chased him mercilessly, relentlessly, and that you were obsessed with him and that you stalked him. And you're going to say, why would I do that to somebody so revolting? And to quote you directly, even Chris Watt had fans. The answer is, we honestly don't know why you were so obsessed with this particular man, but it's documented. You were. You drove for hours out of your way deliberately to look in his apartment through a window that happened to be there and happened to be at eye level. You still looked through the window. You still walked up to the door. You still left your car to walk up to the door to look through the window. You still drove your car from your home to his home to get out of the car to walk up to the house to look through the window. You still left your home to get into the car to drive to his house to get out of the car to walk up the path to his house to look through his window when there was no need, just to see if he was home like he said he was. And you videoed yourself doing it. So, regardless of the fact that the individual you were obsessed with is a revolting, vile, mistreating SOB, doesn't prove you were not and still are obsessed with him.
I'm moving on with my life. I don't like talking about this person anymore.
Two things I'd like to point out. One, Foodie will never stop talking about him until she thinks she's won. She does not have the psychology to let it go. Secondly, Foodie is not being allowed to not talk about it by her beezers, who keep bringing him up, which is something she should think about. Why would her die-hard supporters, the people who are there for her hug box, keep bringing up parts of her history that are so triggering? It's not something I would consider particularly friendly or supportive. And if I had friends who constantly reminded me of the worst time in my life, I would really seriously reconsider whether or not I'd want them to be my friends.
And the whole 2 years that I was going through this,
It wasn't 2 years. The whole relationship, the actual genuine, legitimate relationship, was at most and I'm being generous here, 3 months. And then they did put you through some stuff. You also put yourself through that stuff. You were free to leave any time you wanted. You had been released from the equation. You continuously forced your way into the story. Yes, he took advantage of you doing that financially, basically, but it was an opportunity on his side. He didn't actively seek you out to take money from you. You forced yourself on them, and he took the opportunity to take the money off you. And you were quite aware of this in some respects, because you would book hotels to meet him in for sex when you had just gotten paid, knowing he would come. You hired his services, basically. He was prostituting himself to you, and then when your money was gone after a week or so, because you are financially very irresponsible, he'd fuck off until you got paid again. So who was taking advantage of who exactly? You are both, in your own way, equally shit. Now, again, I am not saying you were not mistreated. What I am saying is you both mistreated each other. As you say, two things can be true at the same time. You are a victim. I don't doubt that for a second. But you are not innocent either. You financially manipulated, emotionally blackmailed, bribed, coerced, forced your presence on them. I don't mean literally, as in that particular act, but you forced yourself into their environment. You made threats, you were passive aggressive, you stalked, you doxed, you shamed, you did so much shit to Dee Dee, and now you're crying narcissistic abuse. The fact of the matter is, it was a clash between two narcissists that was excruciatingly toxic, and there are no winners and no losers here. You are both vile.
The docs that she's talking about was years ago, and she was using a Google burner phone, which she even admitted to using a burner phone number. It wasn't even her real phone number.
That's not the point. She could be using a fake name, fake address, and fake phone number whilst wearing a disguise. And it's still against the law for you to reveal their details. That's no argument. It was a burner phone and a burner number.
She got into a tiff with this guy that I was with, the abuser, and he basically was like, you know, if you love me, you know, go after her, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. And I, of course, took his side. I was completely blinded.
What actually happened was FFG, despite her feelings about Foodie, was concerned about her being in an abusive, mistreative, relationship with Nader, and therefore extended an olive branch to talk to Foodie about her concerns. Foodie then went running to Nada to basically dish the dirt on FFG bad-mouthing Nada, without considering that the reason FFG was bad-mouthing Nada was because Foodie had been bad-mouthing him all over the internet. And as a result, Nada obviously got very angry because it's his nature to feel disrespected by women, and so asked, probably quite loudly, Foodie for her, FFG's number. So, of course I did it because I was blindsided, whatever. You didn't, of course, have to do anything. You really didn't. You very willingly do things to please your partner, and this is not because of brainwashing or coercion or Stockholm syndrome or anything like that. It's because you worship at the altar of the dick, and any guy you're involved with, you would do anything for. And that's just what you do when you're with a man. You are a chronic person pleaser, but only a very particular person at the time, and a person of the male persuasion only.
But she was very invasive. She was very invasive with her videos about the situation. She was just very disgusting. And so I showed messages and I held the phone up and it accidentally showed her number, and I felt bad about that. It was an accidental dox, and I even offered, it's on camera, to change her number and pay for it.
So what? So you offered to get a new number? That doesn't fix anything. Oh no, you ran over my cat. That's okay, I'll buy you a new one. Oh, that's fantastic, everything's fixed now. Thank you, you're so gracious and so kind. It doesn't work like that. And what happened next? Foodie reveals everything that FFG confided in her about her own mistreated relationship, and then cosplayed as an injured FFG, sprouting a specific injury that had been inflicted on her by her mistreating partner that involved a hammer. You dressed up as a DV victim online, and you're the one that's been injured? You're the victim here? I apologise in advance to everybody watching this video for what I'm about to say. You can fuck off right out of here, you stupid, ignorant, pig-headed wanker.
These women are deplorable. They're worse. They're 100 times worse. They project. They're gaslighting. Their audience are just a bunch of zombies because they hate me. So, yeah.
Just because they're vile also doesn't make you not vile. And one could argue that none of these people would be on the internet doing what they do if you hadn't been so controversial and easy to react to in the first place. Allow me to elaborate. I wouldn't be talking about you. I wouldn't have started talking about you if your psychopathy hadn't been so evident on the internet. The reason I have commentary about you is because you're such a vile person that you interest me legitimately in exactly the same way as serial killers interest me. Your dark psychopathy, your vileness, your aberration against nature is what I comment on. And had you been a better person, there would have been no reason for me to be on here in the first place. You created this bubble of festering hatred just by being yourself. And if that doesn't make you sit back and reevaluate your life choices, then there is no hope for you whatsoever.